But liberals support capitalism, and capitalism is inherently discriminatory and violent. What isn't? Okay, yes, I get what you're saying. It can be, but it can also be more fair. Like the Scandinavian and Nordic countries, they seem to have a lot of it figured out. It at least is a lot more fair. Like they have markets, but they also make sure that they have fair wealth distribution through taxes and make sure that everybody has things like healthcare and their basic needs met. Basically, nobody's allowed to get too rich, and that's the way it should be. But just about any type of political economic system that exists, it has the potential to be abused. There is always going to be that person in any system that wants to hoard resources because they think that they deserve more. And this is why it's up to the masses to keep society in check. Because if we're not keeping a regulation on society, it just seems to just kind of fizzle out. Like we tend to be bored a lot of the times with politics, so we don't pay attention to it. And when we stop paying attention to it, it kind of falls to shit. Because a lot of the times the masses just say, I don't want to deal with this. It's boring. It's stupid. I don't care. And then the worst people go, you know what? I care. I'll be the leader. I'll make sure everybody gets what they're supposed to get. Sure, I will. Then the next thing you know, you've got a big orange goblin and a guy who designs a car to look like a dumpster trying to take everything away from the masses. To be fair, though, it started going downhill long before this. We can pretty much trace it back to the Reagan years is when things started to go really bad. And the vast majority of my generation, Gen X, were not paying attention to politics very much. We were raised on movies and TV. We had the first video game consoles to ever come out. So we just pretty much left everything up to the boomers, thinking that they had our best interest at heart. They didn't. They could buy a car and a house working on minimum wage. Their insurance pretty much covered everything back then. Then we got rid of segregation, and all these people who had all these great services decided, you know what? We need to shut these damn things down because we don't want those people getting them. And again, here's my disclaimer, hashtag not all boomers. I always feel like I have to leave these disclaimers because everybody seems to think that I'm talking about them specifically. The other day, I was talking about Gen X, and I said, I'm Gen X. I realize that we're not all that way. And the amount of comments that I had that says, I'm an OG Gen X, and I'm not that way. I'm like, yeah, I know. I said not everybody's going to be that way. Anyway, I know I just neurodivergent the hell out of that conversation, but let's get back to it real quick. Capitalism isn't always unfair. The way that America does it, absolutely it is. But if we would actually learn from these other countries that seem to be doing it better, then we wouldn't be in this position. But we have so many people in this country that go, but we're not other countries. We're America and we do things the American way. Okay, but that kind of sucks. A straight socialist country sounds great, in theory. I just don't see how it could practically work. Because the workers having the means of production sounds great in theory, but you're going to have a faction in there at one point. They're going to think things need to go one way. There's going to be another faction that thinks that it needs to go another way, and they're going to start arguing, and then the company's just going to close down. Or they will split into two companies, and then it'll start all over again. Now, maybe I'm being too pessimistic about this, and it could absolutely work. I would love to see a working example of it, though. So until we can have a large-scale example of this to see how it works, I'm just going to push for democratic socialism. Because Bernie Sanders says that that is a system that would best work for Americans. And really, if we could just listen to Bernie and start moving that direction for a while, I would be so happy.